Can you shake it, hero? Can you shake a salad? Can you shake a shack? Can you shake a salad in a shack? Can you say Sukkot? Greetings, hero. It is I, your friendly neighborhood rabbi, and I am here today to introduce to you one of the world's most popular Jewish holidays, Sukkot. That's right. Today we are going to get into the holiday of Sukkot. I'm going to give you kind of an overview where it comes from, the kinds of things that we do. Of course, we'll dig deeper into the details in other videos, and of course, you will see those other videos because you are a part of the 31-day Jewish Fall Holiday Challenge. What? You're not part of the challenge? You're just seeing one of my videos for the first time? You're just searching for Sukkot and you came across this guy and you're still watching? Then you should know that this video is a part of a 31-day Fall Jewish Holiday Challenge. You can find out more about that challenge by clicking the first link in the show notes below. If you do that and you sign up, immediately you'll get a downloadable holiday guide, a couple of page guide that summarizes the Jewish holidays, the major ones for the whole year, with the dates, the correct dates on the secular calendar for the coming year, followed by 31 daily emails with links to information about the High Holy Days and the Harvest Festival of Sukkot. The reason that I made these videos for you is that the more you know about the holidays, the more you can get into it, you can get out of your head, you can just celebrate with people, and that way you'll have the most meaningful experience and the most joyful one in whatever community you choose to celebrate with. So check that out, but not right now, because right now we're going to get into Sukkot. Sukkot is kind of like the lesser known of the fall holidays in the sense that a bunch of people know about Rosh Hashanah, a bunch of people know about Yom Kippur, and then they're like, it's over, I'll see you next year, folks. Wait! Because 5 days after Yom Kippur is the biggest party of the year. In the Talmud, they refer to Sukkot as Hechag, meaning the holiday. If somebody said, hey, what are you doing for the holiday? Everybody knew you were talking about Sukkot because that was everybody's favorite. I recently did an episode on my podcast, The Jew Curious Show. Did you know I have a podcast? Where I interviewed 3 different rabbis about their favorite memories of the holiday and asked them what their favorite holiday was in the fall. Of the 3 rabbis, 2 of them said Sukkot. One of them said Yom Kippur, and no love for Rosh Hashanah. So that's why I'm super excited to learn about Sukkot with you today, because in case you've been fading this one, don't do it this year. Learn all about it so you can celebrate it, get the most out of it, and maybe someday it'll be your favorite holiday too. But first, where does it come from? Sukkot is a biblical holiday. It is mentioned in the Torah. It's mentioned in Exodus chapter 34, and again in Leviticus 23, because Leviticus 23 talks about all the biblical holidays. In that sense, Sukkot, you're not special. And in the Torah, we start to get an idea of what Sukkot's all about. First off, it says in the 7th month, on the 15th day of that month, 15th of the month is always a full moon, so you could party later, back before electric lights. You could still party later, even with electric lights. On the 7th month, 15th day of the month, you shall have a 7-day festival. And on this 7-day festival, the first day is a day of complete rest. And the 8th day is a day of complete rest. Wait a minute, you said it was a 7th-day festival. What's the 8th day? It's called Shmini Atzeret. That gets its own video. But for right now, just remember, 7-day holiday, first day is a day of rest. Unless you're like me and you celebrate these 1-day holidays for 2 days. I'm not just weird. We talked about that in the 2-day holiday video. Still kind of weird. So you have your first day or your first couple of days, and then a day where it's still the holiday, but it's not like solemn rest. You can go to work, but you could still, enjoy the fact that it's holiday in a different kind of way. And after that, you have a couple of more holiday-like days where there's no rest, you go to services, stuff like that. All that's in the Torah. But what do we do? Another thing that we learn from the Torah is that during this festival, you shall gather up 4 species, or arba minim. I'll talk more about that in the video on lulav and etrog, because lulav is kind of a bunch of different plants. Etrog is a thing that looks like a lumpy lemon, and you put those together and you shake them all about. I don't have one to show you because it's like a month before Sukkot right now, and those aren't on sale yet. Wouldn't be fresh by Sukkot. You'd have to shake a wilted salad. Ugh. Maybe I'll throw up a picture here or here. That's one thing you do, is you shake a bunch of plants that you gather together. Another thing that you do is dwell in a sukkah, which is Hebrew for a tabernacle or booth, or like a little hut thingy. The Torah says, for 7 days you shall dwell in booths or huts, to help you remember that when our people were sojourning in the wilderness between Egypt and the Promised Land for 40 years, there were no condos, no McMansions, barely a Winnebago, and our people dwelt in huts. And so we have this holiday for 1 week a year. We commemorate 40 years in the desert to remind us that sometimes we can't depend on walls or fixed structures or fixed institutions or ideas, but we can always trust God to keep us safe. And so every year we spend a week kind of camping. The third and perhaps most important thing to do on this holiday is rejoice. The Torah says you're supposed to rejoice in the festival. Now, some people look at that and they translate it as you shall be happy or you will have joy. But I prefer to translate it as rejoice. And here's why. Throughout the Torah, it tells us lots of things to do and not do. But what it almost never instructs us in is internal states. It doesn't say you should feel happy about this, you should feel sad about this. It tells us to refrain from bad actions. It tells us to commit good actions. And what we do is more important than how we feel. However, what we do can influence how we feel. So my understanding of these passages is that it's telling us to rejoice. That is, act like you're happy. Do happy things. And why do we have to be reminded to do happy things? What if we don't feel like it? In the Torah, it also calls this the Hag HaAsaf, the Festival of Ingathering. This is a harvest festival. In fact, many people think that the American Pilgrims, when they celebrated their first Thanksgiving, remember these are people who knew their Bible pretty well, they were actually reenacting the Ingathering Festival Sukkot from the Torah, or the Old Testament, or as I like to call it, the Testament. The trick about harvest festivals is that A, whatever you bring in on the harvest festival, that's as good as it gets for the rest of the year. That's as rich as you will be until the next harvest festival. And the other thing about harvest festivals is sometimes you have a bad harvest. What if this is as good as it gets for the rest of the year and it's lame corn, not enough melons? This harvest is weak, yo. This is why I think the Torah tells us to rejoice in this holiday, not for those years when it's easy and we're happy about our harvest anyway, but for those years when it's not. For those years where we gather everything in and we're disappointed. I believe this instruction to rejoice, even in the face of disappointment, is to teach us to be grateful for what we have. As it says in Pirkei Avot, who's rich? One who is grateful for his portion. So every year, whatever we bring in, that's as good as it's going to be. And whether it's a lot or it's a little, we should be thankful that we have anything that we can share with each other. So that's what's up for Sukkot. I'll put the specific Bible verses that describe it in the show notes below. We learn about why it's important to act joyfully and give thanks, whether it's been a good year or a bad year. We've also talked about the mitzvah of waving a lulav and etrog, and the fact that we need to build and dwell in a sukkah. And the lulav and etrog and how to build a sukkah we'll talk about in future videos. But for now, I'm super grateful that you're learning with me. If you're learning with me for the first time, make sure you get connected to this 31-day Fall Jewish Holiday Learning Challenge so you can learn all about the holidays of Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, Shmini Atzeret. That's the 8th day of the 7-day festival. Spoiler alert! And all the celebrations and customs and traditions and laws that surround them. To get connected to that, just click on the first link you see in the show notes below, or mash this handy-dandy fall-colored square over here. You'll get a downloadable holiday guide. You'll get links to all the videos in this series. Next time, we're going to talk about lulav and etrog, the salad that you shake in the shack, yo. And until then, hero, peace. Lame corn. Still kind of weird.